Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for joining us. This is All Soccer All Day. I'm your boy Stevie Mac here in Chi-Town, and with me, as always, Eric D in the City of Angels. How's it going, Eric D? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing swell. Thank you very much. How are you,
swell. I'm also doing quite swell. I am currently hanging out, and I got my puppy with me here, so he's ready to talk some soccer as well.
All right.
So very cool. So before we get into our news and notes and everything, as usual, we want to thank you for listening. Please subscribe on our website, which is allsoccerallday.com. Support us on Patreon. That would be super amazing of you. Patreon.com/allsoccerallday. As you can tell, our gear's getting better, our quality's getting better. We apologize for the skipping last week. I mean, we've been through all kinds of crazy stuff, and we're trying to get into the right groove for everybody. So, speaking of which, what would really help us is if you left us a 5-star rating. So hopefully you think we're cool, and we definitely think you're cool for hanging out and listening. And so if you give us that 5-star rating, it would really help us a lot. And do that on anywhere that you can hear us, which is on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, TuneIn, any of these places. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Snapchat, Google Plus, like every social media as well. So please hook us up, and we really appreciate you guys. Eric D, you got anything else you want to add right there?
No, I think that's about it. Ready to get stuck in?
Right on. Let's do this. All right. Welcome. We are going to go through some news and notes from this last week. And we're going to start off with some of the more prominent transfers that happened around the world. The first one that I'm going to go through is the oldest one. This happened way back on, I believe, the 3rd. Let me double check and make sure I'm not getting my dates wrong here. Yeah. No, that's August 2nd. The first one we're going to talk about is Gonzalo Higuain going from Juve to AC Milan on a loan. Eric D, what are your feelings about that?
Interesting, because Higuain just came from Napoli not too long ago to Juventus, and now he's going to AC Milan, so he's bouncing around Serie A. He's got to kind of feel like a little bit of a rental, especially with Cristiano Ronaldo coming in. They kind of said, okay, see you later. I guess we don't need your services anymore. You can go play for one of our rivals. So it's a surprising move by Juve in some ways. I'm surprised they loaned him to somebody that's a rival in their league that they play in. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way that you do at this point. Ronaldo comes in. Basically, it clearly seems like Ronaldo might take that number 9 spot. It looks like, because why would Gonzalo Higuain, someone who's been performing for Juve, and you know what, love him, hate him, whatever your feelings are about it, the guy scores a lot of goals. And so him going over to AC Milan, as you pointed out, them being a rival, definitely makes it a little bit more interesting, because obviously they're going to be seeing each other. And so that should be, in a way, it's kind of, I would think it's a little bit smart by Juve, because they're creating more of a rivalry with AC Milan, which is going to, of course, bring more popularity to the matches going on in Serie A. And I guess I kind of see it as a okay move. I think it's going to be fine. Although, as you said, as far as a player goes, as far as Gonzalo Higuain goes, he's definitely got to be feeling a little weird. But then again, we were talking about this a little before. I mean, at the highest levels, it's a business, So,
yeah, true.
They brought in possibly the best player in the world right now, possibly the best of all time. I mean, he's definitely in that conversation at this point, I think. And so, it's something that if you're going to bring him in, he's clearly going to get the starting time. So I'm sure Gonzalo wants to be playing as well, right? So
yeah, no doubt.
I think it was probably. I haven't read into it or anything, but I would think it's somewhat mutual, in a way, because again, Higuain will get the starting time in AC Milan as opposed
Yeah,
to in Juve, right?
exactly.
So that's good stuff. Let's see. Let's go ahead and let's move forward a little bit. The next one that we're going to be touching base on is going to be Mr. Arturo Vidal going from Bayern Munich or Munchen or however you say it. By the way, guys, if we mispronounce anything, we're very sorry. We're not perfect, but we're getting better. We're getting better. But so Arturo Vidal going to Bayern. I'm sorry, from Bayern to Barcelona, and that's also a pretty tasty little thing going on there to talk about. What do you think, Eric D? What do you think about this move for Vidal?
It's an interesting move for Barcelona in some ways. I'm thinking that they want to add some bite to their midfield, a la when Javier Mascherano was there.
Right.
He's, you know, Vidal's not the flashiest player, not the most technically gifted player, but he's going to bring some bite in that midfield that I guess they feel like they're lacking. It's going to be interesting to see where he fits into that midfield because they didn't bring him in to for him not to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, my initial thought was okay. That's interesting.
What do you think
weird,
about the what do you think about the competition difference that he's going to be facing coming from the Bundesliga into La Liga? Do you think there's?
Well,
I mean, go ahead.
I think it's a step up for sure because I mean, I like the Bundesliga.
Yeah, I do
a
too.
lot, but it's probably at best the third best league in Europe after, let's just say, Premier League, La Liga. I know some people would say La Liga is number one, but yeah, he's going to a more competitive league, and the way they play in Spain is different than they play in Germany. So it'll be interesting to see how he, translates to the Spanish game, and more importantly, the way Barcelona plays.
Right.
Because he's not really that kind of player. I think he's just going to be there to make tackles, win
Kind
the
of an
ball.
enforcer, if you will.
Yeah, and then just play it up, and give it to the guys that he needs to,
Yeah.
like Messi. So.
Well, absolutely. I mean, he's obviously got the talent around him to be able to come in and be that enforcer. So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to see how Vidal does in La Liga. I think it's going to be a pretty fun little transition. And just one thing I want to point out, a lot of people say that La Liga might be the best in Europe as far as the leagues go. But I just want to say, and maybe I'm a little biased, but it just feels so top heavy in La Liga. It's the competition just doesn't seem the same comparatively to the Premier League, which is, in my opinion, personally, that's the reason that I think that the Premier League is the top league in Europe. I think it's just much more. There's just a lot more competition, I think.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, it's really Barcelona and Real Madrid's league to lose, and after that, I mean, some would say Atletico Madrid,
right?
But I mean, or Sevilla maybe, or it's just like it starts to drop pretty rapidly, even though the Spanish clubs compete very well in Europe. I mean,
definitely.
So
yeah,
it's interesting.
I'm not trying to say that they don't have talent in La Liga. Obviously, they do.
Right.
But it just, as you were saying, it's Barcelona and Real Madrid, and it's kind of like Atleti kind of tagging along. And if either one of those top two teams slip, then yeah, sure, someone might sneak in. But I mean, you just look at that league and right away, even though, as you were pointing out, Sevilla and some of these other clubs in Spain who, as you were saying, compete very well in European competition, again, when it comes to La Liga itself, the competition isn't the same. Whereas I think in the Premier League, I mean, there's 6 teams. I mean, Leicester, what?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I mean, the competition is just, in my opinion, a little bit more evened out. It's a lot more exciting each week. But okay, so moving on, the next biggest one, well, I shouldn't say biggest, but the next one we're going to talk about, this happened back on August 7th. Joe Hart going from Man City to Burnley. Eric D, what are your thoughts on this one?
Interesting as well. I want to see Hart hopefully be able to resurrect his career. He was, on top of his game a few years ago for Man City, and he's kind of had uh, a fall from grace. And so I hope this will be a fresh start for him, and he'll be able to compete and get the number one job. I don't know Burnley's goalkeeper situation there. I know Burnley's on the up, though. I mean, they surprised a lot of people with the way they finished, and
yeah, I think they finished seventh.
Good move,
I believe. So
yeah.
So they're definitely on trending upwards as far as I remember seeing some games last year, and it was very impressive how Burnley was looking. And again, it just goes to show that competition in the Premier League, and Joe Hart going from the champions of the league last year to the team that finished seventh, does set up that kind of redemption story for Joe Hart with him coming back, and hopefully he has a big season for Burnley, and it's going to be pretty exciting for him. So best of luck there. Let's see, moving forward. Let's go ahead and Eric D, why don't you take us through some of the MLS signings, some of the things that have been going on in the American soccer world?
Well, I guess the first one I'll make note of is Christian Ramirez. Just moved recently from Minnesota United to LAFC. He had been with Minnesota for about 5 years, back when they were still in the NASL. So yeah, it's interesting to see a player that had been with the club for quite some time move from Minnesota to LA. So it's kind of we'll see if it jump starts his situation there. I feel like there's more to the story than what we know. It seems like he had maybe a falling out with the manager. He had been benched for this last match for Minnesota. So it'll be interesting to see, because he's going to a team that's an expansion team, but Bob Bradley's got LAFC in a good position in their first season, and he's going to have to compete for minutes up top. And he's an exciting player. He's a fringe U.S. national player, nicknamed Superman. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think it's really exciting for LAFC. I mean, they've got to be excited to have someone that has that kind of talent, because you look at last year, and he was on fire at some points. He had amazing runs of play, and now he's got all kinds of crazy talent around him at LAFC. And I think that's just going to really, hopefully, again, it's kind of that redemption story for him. He's going into now. It's like, now's his chance. Like, now's his shot.
Exactly.
Like, to be the man, And they have Diamande up there, who's definitely going to be competing. I mean, this guy is also, he's a predator up top. So, there's going to be no shortage of firepower for LAFC. And that's definitely pretty exciting for the MLS. Let's see, what else you got? What else you got in the MLS?
Another interesting move. Christian Nemeth is moving from New England Revolution back to Sporting Kansas City. He left the league a couple seasons ago from Sporting out to the Qatari Super League, and now he's coming back. New England was able to get him through the allocation. I know, some of you guys might not know what the allocation is. But anyway, they got him, and they're sending him or trading him to Sporting Kansas City, and that's where he enjoyed his best years in MLS. And like I had mentioned to you, and I had just saw it the other day on Instagram, I believe. I think I sent it actually to your IG, the run that Christian Nemeth made to Portland, against Portland, I should say. One of the moments that sticks out in my mind about that player, and just in MLS in general, it was a great goal, great individual skill, and I'm hoping he'll rebound.
That form again. Yeah,
exactly. Because that's what the league needs. The league needs needs stars, need guys that are like must-see TV on all these teams.
Absolutely. I mean, love him or hate him, the more Zlatans that are hanging out in the MLS,
Yeah,
frankly, the better. It's
yeah,
going
yeah. The league needs characters. The league needs
to.
stars. The
Hmm.
league needs, lightning rods. We need people talking about the teams in the league.
Absolutely.
Another one. I don't know. Did you have anything to add about Namath?
Not necessarily. No, go ahead.
Another one, just to quickly touch on Justin Merrim. He is. He
Hmm.
actually transferred. It's interesting. He transferred for Columbus Crew to Orlando. He had requested a trade. They sent him to Orlando. I don't know the story of what happened in Orlando, but he did not have a good time in Orlando, and now he's being traded back to Columbus.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can also get back because he was one of the catalysts for the Crew last season.
Yes,
So
absolutely. And as you were saying, nobody kind of really knows what's going on over in Orlando. Things are just a little wonky. They got a new system coming in. They got a lot of new stuff going on, and I think they're really trying to figure out how to balance that out and how to get the best out of their squad. And maybe he just didn't fit in, and that's just how it goes. And luckily he had the Crew to kind of fall back on, I suppose. And the Crew are looking good. I mean, Zardes is having probably his best year of his career, and they're definitely a team that I think they fly a little bit under the radar, but I think they're pretty dangerous, man. I think the Crew can do some damage. So, let's see. Go ahead.
no, I'm just looking at some of these transfers that have happened lately that might
Yeah,
have gone under the radar for MLS.
yeah.
It looks like Jorge Villafana is coming back from Santos
Yep.
to Portland
To
Timbers.
Portland. Yep. Also, I
Yeah.
saw that Bill Hamid is coming back to the DC
Yes,
United on loan. That's
on
a
loan.
it's a big
Loan.
homecoming for him.
It
And
looks like
go ahead.
just running through these kind of rapid fire guys because we have a lot to talk about. Dominic Orduro
Mm-hmm.
going from Montreal to the San Jose Earthquakes.
It was a trade for
Oh
Quincy
yes, you're right.
Amarikwa. For Quincy
Yeah, I
Amarikwa.
see that.
Yeah.
You're right. Interesting. Interesting. I don't know who actually wins that trade. Quincy Amarikwa had one of the goals of the season last season.
Mm-hmm.
That was half. So he's been kind of. I would say Dominic Oduro has seen more field time than Quincy.
Yep.
But hopefully he'll be able to get some more minutes in Montreal because he wasn't seeing the field too much with San Jose.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think Oduro, he's got some serious speed. But every time I see Oduro play, I mean, I gotta be honest with you, like he just feels like he misses that first touch.
Yeah.
It's always just seems a little bit heavy, and
Yep.
so I mean, it's definitely. I think it's relatively an even swap, but as you said, maybe a lot of times these players just switching to a new club kind of have that rebirth. Again, going back to Giassi Zardes, he's a really good example of someone who has kind of bounced into something new. And he was with the Galaxy for so long, and he had some good years there, but he's really breaking out in Columbus. So, okay, so moving forward, is there anything else that you want to go through as far as news and notes before we get into these games this week? We're just so everyone knows, since the Premier League's going to be starting, we're really trying to keep track of two leagues with this. We really want, of course, the Premier League. We're going to be talking about that probably heavily. And with the MLS, we still want to highlight some of the bigger, more important moments. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Premier League opening weekend, but also the MLS and this past week, because MLS is kind of in mid-season right now. But of course, with the Premier League coming back, I mean, all eyes are on England, right?
Yeah, no doubt. And speaking of England, just as we're still in our transfer news, there was a big transfer that just happened involving Chelsea, as they are now have agreed to a fee with Real Madrid to send Courtois to Madrid.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
What do you, Yeah, what do you think of that?
Well, what about Keylor Navas? That's what I think of first. I mean, the dude's been a beast for Madrid, and it definitely seems like a big slap in the face for him. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't, nothing against either one of them. I mean, both of them are top keepers, but it doesn't show a whole ton of loyalty, I suppose. But I mean, it is Madrid. They go out and they get who they want, you know.
So yeah, I mean, Real Madrid brings in Courtois, and now you have Keylor Navas, and supposedly Keylor Navas says that his desire to leave Real Madrid is about as much as his desire to die. So, when you say something like that, I mean, he obviously wants to stay at the club. So, I mean, I guess there's going to be a battle for obviously the number one position, and I mean, it's embarrassment of riches for Real Madrid, but I'm sure if a club comes calling for Keylor Navas' services and they're willing to give up a nice, amount of change, I'm sure Real Madrid will part with him now.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's really, again, it's a huge bummer for Navas. I think he's a great player, and but again, going back to it, it's business. That's what it comes down to.
I agree with you, but you can't forget or discredit the human side of things. I mean,
Oh yeah,
people do have feelings.
No, I empathize and sympathize with Navas. I think it's a big slap in the face, and I hope that he goes to another top club, and I hope he just absolutely owns, man. So I'm all about it, but at the same time, just like we were saying, it is the business, and these are top players, and they are unfortunately expendable for these clubs in the end.
And this is exactly how Real Madrid does business. You got to know, being at Real Madrid, you're expendable. No one person. I don't care who you are. Obviously,
I mean, Ronaldo just left.
Yeah, not above the club.
So. Yeah, I mean, Ronaldo just left. So if we were talking about him leaving, then of course they'd part with Keylor Navas if that's what they wanted to do. So, and hey, look, that's also no disrespect to Courtois. The dude is a beast. So, absolutely. I think he definitely fits with Madrid and that, that level of play. So I'm sure he's going to shine in La Liga. Courtois seems like he's really coming into a big part of his career. So, yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah. He's been there before. He played. I don't know if he was on loan. I know he was at Atletico Madrid. I just don't know if he was actually on loan there or not. But he's been in La Liga before, so
yeah, absolutely.
We should slide right in.
So pretty cool stuff. But anyway, so anything else that you want to add as far as wrapping up this kind of news and notes from what's been going down?
No, I think that's about it.
Okay, right on. All right, so let's move into now our review of the last games in the MLS. We're going all the way back to August 4th. Well, I guess, okay, look, everyone. August 1st, the MLS All-Star game happened, okay? Juve won 5-3 in penalty kicks. It was 1-1 in full time, and 5-3 penalty kicks for Juve. I mean, it's an all-star game. I guess if there's one thing that you could say, Josef Martinez is the guy that scored a goal for the MLS All-Stars. I mean, the dude's just on fire everywhere, Like, even if it's, like, technically a friendly, the dude's still scoring. Like, crazy.
No, nobody has a greater desire to score goals in the MLS, bar none. Like, this Martinez, this guy is like,
I know,
unreal.
He hunts the ball like, it's crazy,
yeah.
Man. So well, I mean, let's get into it right away, because the first game we're going to talk about, this went down on August 4th, was a great game in Atlanta. Toronto FC taking on Atlanta United FC. Why don't you walk us through a couple of the highlights of this game, Eric D?
Well, of course, Josef Martinez had a brace. I mean, naturally.
Totally ridiculous.
He's sitting at 26 now?
Yeah.
I believe.
Hmm.
So yeah, he's just one shy of tying the record, I believe, at 27, and obviously he's going to obliterate that. Now, I mean, just before we get into the match here, I want to get a little wager on you. What are you thinking he's going to end the season with? Some people are saying 35, some people say 30. Well, what are you thinking?
Oh man. Um. Yeah. The dude scores hat tricks and braces like it's going out of style right now. So I mean, and I don't see him slowing down. It doesn't. It just doesn't seem like that's going to happen. The guy's just absolutely slaughtering everyone. But I'm gonna go. I'll play it safe. I'm gonna say 32.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll go with the latter. I'll take 35, I guess.
Yeah.
What
I kind of
it,
wanted to lean that way, but I'm gonna play the
yeah.
safe
Yeah,
side.
yeah,
I'll play the under.
yeah. I mean, the only the only thing that's keeping him from just being ridiculous and obliterating the record is Tata Martino. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
if he decides to, just take him out because, like, hey, we're in the playoffs, I need to rest you or what, like scale back his minutes, then,
Right.
that will.
That
The only way he
yeah. I
can't
mean
fumble.
that would be such a bummer for me. I mean, like, let the dude smash records. Like, come on, man. You know. Like,
Yeah, but the thing is MLS is such a grind, and I think that's what they're. I mean, people say like Tata seems to run his horses into the ground, and then playoff time comes, and then they're just exhausted, and it's
yeah.
like, yeah, that's the only concern.
Well, yeah. I mean, I hear it from the competitive point of view. I totally understand. But from the like just the fan point of view, I'm just like, come on, dude, let the guy just blow up. Like, who cares,
Yeah.
man?
Let him eat, right? Just let
Yeah,
him eat.
man, that's right.
Eat.
So,
Heck, man.
all right, so let's go. Let's go. Getting into this game, walk us through how some of this went
So,
down.
I would, as a neutral, this is the kind of match that you want to watch. I mean, it was exciting. Two heavyweights really going at it. Although I know Toronto is kind of down in the standings, but don't be fooled.
Yeah,
Toronto is one of the best teams in this league,
that's
no
right.
doubt. Obviously, they're defending champions. So it was great to see them go toe to toe with Atlanta in Atlanta. Um, Sebastian Giovinco scored the opening goal, as of course he would. And I wanted to talk to you about the penalty that Joseph Martinez was awarded that ended up equalizing. Did you believe it was a penalty?
Little soft for me. A little soft for me.
Okay, interesting. Interesting. As an attacking player, as a forward, it's interesting that you say that because the goalkeeper union over here, I want to say it's not a penalty, as I thought Bono got a touch of the ball before Martinez went down.
Yeah,
Martinez, that's another thing. Martinez, he seems to know how to sell a penalty, and obviously that he was awarded a penalty. So
yeah,
I just thought I it's so tough, it's so tough being a keeper, it's just like, okay, now I have to get the ball, but I got to make sure I don't touch this guy or I'm going to be, awarded a penalty, and it's going to be like I didn't do anything, so it's like I thought that was a tough call, but yeah, so Atlanta ends up tying up the game there, and Atlanta had a lot of chances in this game, and they eventually took the lead in the second half, obviously through Joseph Martinez, who
mm-hmm.
else? Um, but because Atlanta couldn't bury their chances, Almiron, um, you know, they let Toronto FC hang around, and that's why Ricketts was able to get the equalizer late in the match there in the 90th minute. So
Yeah, it was. I thought it was very exciting. Just like you were saying, I just want to echo that. Giovinco's first goal, it was in stoppage time of the first half, and they literally had just put up the sign for 1 minute left, and Josie Altidore comes away with a kind of sloppy ball at the top of the 18. Is good enough to hold up. Hits the overlapping run, crosses it right in. People weren't marking Giovinco, and he just puts it right in the net, and so that was pretty exciting. Obviously we went over the Martinez goal. It was I don't think it was a penalty, man. I mean, he could have stayed on his feet is the thing for me. Like, when I look at that, I'm like, yeah, you could have taken that step to the right. Like, you didn't have to fall,
Yeah.
So, kind of, but, it's the game. That's the gamesmanship that comes along with it. I'm 99% of attacking players are going to do that. So
The dark arts.
yeah, absolutely. And look, his second goal, I mean, this guy, he's not the tallest dude, and he scores headers like it's totally ridiculous.
Speaking of the second goal, Toronto, maybe you want to mark that guy?
Yeah.
Like,
he's just running down the middle of the 18-yard box alone. Just like straight down the middle. He like runs over the penalty spot practically. Directly to goal.
So I mean,
yeah.
Toronto, this is one of those where Toronto feels the draw. It's like a win. Atlanta feels like the draw was more like a loss because Atlanta probably should have won this match.
Right.
But yeah, that's how it kind of went down.
As you said, Almiron couldn't finish that breakaway, and it was that had to be rough for him. Almiron, in my opinion, is one of the most exciting playmakers right now, just because of his speed, his quickness. He's got some really nice passing skills, but I think that he should be scoring more goals. I always feel like the guy should be putting way more shots away because he puts himself in great positions and he's just hanging out. And then he just either it's too soft of a shot, he maybe doesn't place it right, inaccuracy, whatever you want to say. But I hope the dude works on his finishing, because if he did, he would be. I mean, he already kind of is one of the top players in the MLS right now, in my opinion. And if he started putting goals away, he'd be. It would be very difficult to find too many other players that have that kind of skill. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. The supporting cast for Atlanta has all kind of been sputtering. Almiron, Barco, Villalba. I mean, whoever. It looks like this Atlanta team is actually missing Assad more than they thought they would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those guys were all clicking, really humming last season, and this season it's just really been Joseph Martinez that's carrying a lot of the weight there.
Right.
And that's what teams are going to have to do. I mean, the way to shut down Atlanta is you've got to keep Joseph Martinez from beating you. Make the other guys beat you.
Right.
Because they're all kind of having off seasons right now. So it's be interesting to something to look forward to or keep an eye on as the season progresses here.
Yeah, I totally agree. So anyway, either way, check out the highlights for that. Go back and watch the game, and it's an exciting game. Great skill in this game. So go back and check it out. 2-2 was the end score, splitting the points there. Moving on to the next match, Montreal Impact take on the DC United. This match ended in a 1-1 draw. Eric D, why don't you take us through a little bit of this match?
I mean, there's not really much to say here. Obviously, Montreal got on the board first early in the game, and then Assad was able to equalize in the 7th minute. I think the takeaway from this match, and it's only a small sample size, I don't know. Maybe it's going to take time, obviously, but Wayne Rooney it's been a mixed bag of results so far with him. I mean, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, as you had just said, I think it's going to be not the easiest, quickest transition. I mean, the DC United are not exactly at the high end of the tables, so to speak.
No.
So, Wayne Rooney isn't surrounded by these top players, and so it is going to take a little time for them to get used to how they play with each other, how they make their runs, all this kind of stuff. So, but I think that Rooney's actually going to be, I think he's still going to be highly effective. And I think it's going to take maybe a couple more games, but once they find their groove, I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. It's tough for a player to come from Europe to MLS, believe it or not, in the middle of the dog days of summer, and to
Mm-hmm.
be effective. He's with new team, new league, all the things that go, the rigors that go with MLS. So yeah, it's going to take time
Mm-hmm.
for him to get acclimated.
Agreed. So just walking through the first goal here, what ended up happening was just kind of a ricochet, right place, right time kind of situation, and really this goal kind of was created more by Piatti, although the finish, was not Piatti, but it was definitely something where Piatti continues to be in the right place at the right time, and he's continues to take dangerous shots, and so he's a real big playmaker for Montreal.
Speaking of Piatti, did you see the move Acosta put on him?
Oh yes,
Dirty.
yeah.
Dirty. I was like, dude, Acosta, respect your elders, bro.
Yeah.
I
Well,
keep it
actually,
that
there was a few pretty nasty moves in this game. Actually, right at the beginning of the game as well. Silva is dribbling for Montreal is dribbling the ball down the right side, and he cuts the inside and he breaks this dude's ankles and lays him out. I mean, like flat on his stomach, man. On his stomach, he turned him and like, dude. Uh,
he gave him the Mohamed Salah, like,
Dude, oh man. And do you remember when Messi did that too, right?
yes, yes,
Dude, all three of those,
Boateng.
yes. All three of those look like the dude just like straight got shot. Like just got like dude's just running and then boom, he just got sniped and they just like taking a nap, fool. You're done. So
Bring out the stretcher.
yeah, man. So exciting stuff. There's a lot of fun talent in the MLS, and so you just gotta check it out. If you don't watch the MLS yet, or if you don't really follow teams or anything like that, here's the easy way to get into it. Okay, what you do is you just go on YouTube, go to MLS, and there's review shows, and the review shows are so well done. I mean, these things are. This is what you want when you're a fan, because you literally get all the details and it's so well put together. It's exciting. So definitely go check out those review things on YouTube. So anyway, so going back to the game, DC United, they end up equalizing, and so it ends in that 1-1 draw. It was just bad marking by Montreal in the box. Two players just running alone essentially at the 6-yard box. And if Rooney was on the next hit for putting that in, by the way, though. I just do want you to know that. So he is like at the right place. He just didn't get the end touch. So
yeah, that's true.
So I think that I think he's definitely going to gel a little bit better moving forward with the team. And I don't know, man. I'm a fan of the MLS in general getting better and moving forward. So we kind of discussed this a little bit in a previous episode, but I'm all for guys like Wayne Rooney coming over and playing at the MLS. I mean, the more guys that we can get that have played at the highest levels, even if it's a little bit later in their career, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just the talent and the leadership and the experience that these guys bring to MLS is nothing but positive. So I'm rooting for him, man. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm right there in line with you. I agree.
Right on. Okay, so moving on, we'll get to the next match. This one was pretty exciting. This one goes back and forth. Orlando City and the New England Revolution. Why don't you take us through a couple of highlights of this game?
Yeah, this game was bonkers.
Yeah.
I mean, New England got on Orlando pretty early. I mean, Juan Agudelo scores in the 8th minute. and then New England scores another goal. You know, soon after that, basically off a miscue from Orlando's defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, before you know it, Orlando's in a 2-0 hole at home, and Dom Dwyer is able to pull one back just before half,
Mm-hmm.
and then slowly but surely, Orlando, crawled their way back to the game and were able to equalize.
I think that
And
was a really exciting thing. Just to kind of piggyback on the equalizing of this match, it was just that is that grit that I think Orlando City hasn't had all season, like that fight for even getting that last point. So I think that was pretty exciting that these guys came back, and it's good for the city. Orlando's got a really great following, and so it's unfortunate that Orlando's kind of going through this little tough time, so to speak.
yeah, I mean, they've got to be happy with the draw as it ended up 3-3 there as they equalized once again after Till Bunbury scored. Um, this is one of those where if you're New England, like I've said before, New England should have taken the 3 points. This feels like a loss, even though they got the point in Orlando. I guess you got to be just happy you got the point because
Mm-hmm.
you're going to lose.
Right. Yep. I would agree, but it was a well taken free kick by Orlando to tie the game up, and I think that the excitement from the fans that you see in Orlando after coming back and taking just that 1 point was good to see. So exciting for Orlando, and hopefully they kind of figure it out a little bit more. They were so exciting when Kaká was there, and with the kind of new rivalry with NYCFC and David Villa and that whole thing going on. Like it was awesome to watch Orlando, and I think they had a pretty exciting start, and I would love to see them kind of get back to that previous form and become kind of more of a contender like they were previously. What do you think?
No, I agree. I mean, the supporters deserve it. I mean, Orlando City is yet to make the playoffs, and it's kind of a shame. Because they've got Atlanta just, the north of them kind of taking over the south. And I mean, it's like when, Miami comes on board here in a few seasons, I mean, Orlando, I'm not saying they're going to be forgotten, but, I hope they don't turn into, just another team that's
Mm-hmm.
down. You know what I'm saying? Like, they should
Well,
be so much
I don't. I
more.
really don't think they're going to, just based off the fact that one player that really excites me in Orlando is Dom Dwyer. I mean, the
Yeah.
guy is super exciting, extremely athletic, finds his way to open space, fights for the 50-50 balls, either on the air or on the ground, and the guy scores goals, and he's really exciting to watch. So I'm hoping that he kind of becomes that star in Orlando that pulls him out and kind of brings them together. So they got Sasha Kleshin too. Kleshin's no joke. I mean, he's been around for a little while, and he came from the Red Bulls, and he did a lot of good work for the Red Bulls.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving forward, the next match we're going to get into is FC Dallas taking on the San Jose Earthquakes. And this one was a bit of a shocker. I don't know. Why don't you walk us through a little bit of
Yeah.
this?
No, exactly. This is the quintessential MLS game, I guess, because this is not what you would expect. FC Dallas at the top of the table in the West at home, and they lose to arguably, well, I think they are the worst team in the league, right, if not one of them.
Right.
And I mean, not only do you lose 3-1. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know where you go. I mean, obviously, you can lay an egg, so I guess that's
Yeah.
what it is here, but it's just like, wow.
But
Yeah.
I think it's that exactly this kind of play from Dallas that keeps them out of the being the best. I mean,
Yeah.
this is where they falter. It's like they're just killing people, and they seem like a really scary team to play. And then all of a sudden, they just like totally, as you put it, lay an egg, and it's like totally not something a number one team should be doing.
No,
Like
exactly.
not like this. You know, you lose a close one. You know, someone gets a lucky bounce or something like that at the end of a match, and oh man, we took a loss. Okay, but to lose 3-1 at home, like you were saying, to the worst team in the West, I believe. You know, that's you can't
Yeah.
do that.
No, you can't, and that's what's got to be disheartening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as I'm looking at the as I'm looking at the overall standings, yeah, San Jose's all the way at the bottom
Mm-hmm.
with 6 points. So I mean,
Yeah, this
basically,
was only their third win of the year.
yeah, that wasn't it wasn't Minnesota United.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I mean, those kind of things. It's a mentality with FC Dallas.
Yep.
I'm just like FC Dallas for a few seasons now has been at the precipice of being something very special.
Yep.
It was just last season that they were in Champions League. They looked very good, I believe, against Pachuca.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just like, and then they fell apart. They had a straight tailspin of epic proportions last season. They've picked it up this year, and obviously it's just a little blip. But I'm just like, is FC Dallas?
Yeah, hopefully
What's
it's
gonna?
not one of those things that
Yeah,
kind of sticks, you know.
yeah,
But you know, here's the thing: is like as another, you know, if you're another team in the West, you got to see that chink in the armor, and it doesn't make you respect the FC Dallas the same way. Like you're not then afraid to go in, play these guys at home, or have, you know, if they come visit, it's something where you're like, yeah, obviously all these players are going to have positive attitudes and they're going to be looking to get the win all the time. But look, we're all human, so the top league playing the worst team in the league, the stats just kind of speak for themselves. So even if you're on the Earthquakes, like these guys come out and they win. If you're in the West and you're seeing something like that happen, you gotta be like, oh, okay, well,
yeah,
I guess you know we're gonna smash on them then, you know.
yeah. I mean, one would think, but like I said earlier, this is MLS, and this
Yep.
is like one of those games. It's like, okay,
Yep.
yeah, this is why you
Okay.
can't bet
Moving
MLS.
forward. Yep. Moving forward. Right. Like you were saying, like you can't bet on it. Um, so
Not at all.
okay. So moving on to the next match. The Seattle Sounders taking on Minnesota United. This game ends 2-1, with the Sounders coming back in surprising fashion. Why don't you take us through a little bit of this game, Eric?
Talk about devastating loss. Like
Yeah,
they, this
that
is
hurts.
how does
This
the
hurts.
phrase go here? Minnesota snatched victory from snatched defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're Minnesota United, it's a very morally deflating kind of game because Seattle like won this in basically stoppage time.
Yep.
Ladero got the penalty to equalize in the 90th minute, and then Will Bruin with the beautiful chip to put them ahead and to get all 3 points on the road.
Yes, that was a beautiful finish, by the way, Will Bruin. That was
Yes,
that was hot stuff right there.
Very beautiful, but we have to ask questions of Minnesota's defense.
Yep.
I don't know what these guys are doing.
Well, they just got complacent, I think, which I don't understand how that can happen at this level. I mean, it just kind of seemed like they just shut off. Like it was like, okay, we're in stoppage time, we got this. And
yeah.
like,
I think that's what it is when you're trying to see out the game, and you're like, it's night. You see 90 on the scoreboard there, and you're like, okay, we're in stoppage time. Like we're gonna get these 3 points, and then it's like, boom.
Yep, it's almost kind of like, okay, well, someone's gonna get possession of this, and we'll be cool. Instead of like going out there and trying to actually get possession of the ball yourself. That's how it feels like Minnesota's kind of thinking, and I don't know. It's that's not what you want. You know, I have to say something though. All right, and this is going to be a little bit of I guess it's a little bit of shade, okay? But
Speak on it, brother.
okay, so Darwin Quintero, dude, I think that this guy basically lost the MLS All Star game for us.
Whoa.
And this is why. The dude has some skills. The dude is a beast. The dude scored some goals. But as far as the MLS All Star game goes, he was extremely selfish.
Oh yeah.
It was just. It's exactly the player, frankly, like you don't want to play with, because you have wide open options, and the dude just kept dribbling and trying to do. He was trying to do some moves and do some hot stuff and all that. But like, okay, it's one thing if you do it, I guess. But still, like that style of play, in my opinion, is not. It's a team sport. It's like the ultimate team sport. You got to pass the ball, like use the ball.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I know what you were talking about. I remember watching a little bit at the end of that game, and yeah, there were a couple times when he could have passed the ball, and he either kept it and he dribbled, and he took a shot and he skied it. Yeah, it's not the kind of things you want to see, but I was like, oh, it's an all-star game.
Right.
Guys are trying to styling all over the field, right? But yeah, I don't watch enough of Minnesota United to know how his play is affecting the
Well,
team overall and all that. But I mean, I know he's produced some goals. So
yeah. Okay, so here's the thing: is that he's producing goals, but again, when I see him play, it just seems like he takes that like one or two touches too many. And I
yeah,
think that the team could really benefit from him releasing the ball. But hey, man, I'm no professional. It's just opinion about what I see on the pitch, But
I I would agree. I would
so
agree. Definitely seems like he loves him some me. So
yeah, which is cool. I get it, but anyway, so okay, so yeah, I guess just getting back to
shade
that.
applied.
Yeah, so just getting back to that to wrap that game up. Seattle in stoppage time, like 96th minute, basically on both of these goals, completely ridiculous
Watch out now.
for Minnesota United.
That run.
And yeah, Seattle coming together. You never know, man. You never know. It's. I think that it's a benefit for the MLS to have this. I think that people getting runs and getting hot at the right time. I think it creates some excitement in the
Well, it's
tables.
what makes the league interesting is that we have
Yeah.
playoffs and that it's kind of unpredictable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, speaking of kind of leveling late again, let's move into this next game. NYCFC, New York City Football Club, takes on Vancouver Whitecaps. And this game ends in a draw as well. And Eric, do you want to go ahead and go through a little bit of this?
Well, Vancouver actually struck first, and they were up 1-0, and then obviously NYCFC in quick succession scored a couple goals actually to take a 2-1 lead.
Mm-hmm.
And Vancouver ended up equalizing late in the match in the 87th minute. But the story here is that NYCFC, when they move forward, they leave themselves vulnerable to the counter.
Yep.
They like to press, they like to go forward and put numbers in the box and just, kind of attack that way. And Vancouver, to their credit, was able to get a point in the Bronx there against a very good NYCFC team. And not many teams have gone up there and got any kind of points. So kudos to Vancouver. But this is another match where, NYCFC probably should have won. And, I guess a draw.
Slip away.
Yeah, they let it slip away. I guess a draw is a fair result. But once again, a draw that feels like a loss for NYCFC and a draw that feels like a win for Vancouver.
Yeah, and a lot about what you were saying as far as their attacking style. NYCFC is definitely that kind of team that really throws numbers forward, which it can make exciting games, but it also, as you said, kind of leaves them open to that counter attack. And so, They're still third place in the East right now, so can't totally say they're doing anything wrong, but it feels like that style of play is not going to get you through the playoffs, basically. Like,
Yeah.
There's the other teams are going to be hunting too hard to be getting through the playoffs like that. So,
Yeah, exactly.
okay, so let's see. Moving forward, the next game we're going to go over was, let's see, make sure I get it in order here. Yes, that's right. The Colorado Rapids taking on the LA Galaxy. This was another one of those clubs that you think it should definitely have this win. I'm speaking about the Galaxy, of course, playing against a Colorado team that has been, they're just finding themselves at the bottom of the tables again, just not playing very well. They just got Kellen Acosta, who's been absolutely amazing for them.
Yeah, he had a goal in this match.
Yeah, and it was definitely a beauty. But yeah, take us through a little bit of this game.
Well, first of all, as a Galaxy fan supporter, this is a very disappointing result for obvious reasons. I believe the 9-match unbeaten streak was broken,
Yep.
and when you lose, sorry Colorado and all the Rapid fans out there, when you lose to a team that you shouldn't be losing to, because you're either A, better, or B, like, it's just, you should be able to carry the momentum that you've had so far building, and you should be able to beat a team like this, and it doesn't happen. It's just, like, this loss just leaves a bad taste in your mouth, at least for me.
Well, it definitely does for me also. I got to be honest with you. If you look at the very first goal that the Galaxy have with Alessandrini, it's just like such garbage from the central defenders from Colorado. Yeah. It's just like absolutely no clearance whatsoever. Just terrible.
Yeah, boom. They just kind of put it on a platter, and Roman's like, okay, sure, I'll take that. But, you could say Kellen Acosta's goal wasn't very strong. I feel like Bingham's got to do better there, but he gets, he scores a goal and it equalizes the match, and then it's just, to lose the match so late in the day like they did, that's
it's that heartbreaker again, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I will agree with you. Kellen Acosta's goal, it's not like it had all the pace in the world on it. It seemed to just catch Bingham by surprise, just like out of nowhere. Maybe there was kind of a screen in front of him that must have been it, because he should have definitely had that covered. However, he didn't. So the first goal goes in, and as you were saying, leveling late, and it's just, again, bad coverage of runs from the LA Galaxy. They just do not follow. The whole line basically dropped all the way to the goal and didn't follow their marks that they should have been covering those runs, and that's how it ended up happening. They were basically all watching the ball and following the line of the ball, and of course Colorado, they just slowed their run up a little bit, just like they should. And of course the winger just cuts it back down to the penalty box, and dudes are just standing there wide open. There was two options for them. And they end up scoring. So, bad marking by the Galaxy, and this is the price they pay, man. So,
it's the defense is. Yeah, well, we've spoke about it at length. Yeah. The defense is not something you can trust. So
struggling hard,
no doubt.
So, all right. So let's see. Moving forward, getting into Houston taking on Sporting Kansas City. This one was pretty weird. It was a pretty weird game.
Classic.
Yeah. Don't know exactly what's going on there, Houston.
Yeah, when we talk about the disciplinary things of a match more than what actually happened, that gives you an indication that this match went sideways. Yeah. You had alluded to it before. When we spoke about this match, Um, you know, 3 red cards. William Cabrera gets sent off at halftime for arguing with the ref.
Yep.
I mean, Houston, not a lot of discipline.
You're finishing with 8 players on the field, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's if you're, I
And
believe,
no coach.
coach. Yeah, I believe FIFA rules. I like if they had one more red card, I think they would have forfeited the match.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Can't remember the last time I saw 3 red cards.
Yeah, I don't. I was trying to think of that right now too. I mean, if you know, leave us a comment and let us know when that last time you saw something as ridiculous as 3 red cards and a manager getting sent off at halftime. I mean, of course, there's always been some crazy riot stuff that you could point out, but just talking about discipline of the game, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, and even the ref, he had to be escorted off the field.
Yeah.
Fans were throwing stuff, and it's just like scenes I've never really seen in MLS. Like I was like, whoa. I mean, obviously the Houston fans are frustrated. I mean, they just had 3 players sent off. I think they felt, undone by the fact that some Sporting Kansas City players weren't sent off.
Right.
But yeah, it's just not something you see in MLS.
Right.
You just don't see that. You don't see 3 red cards in matches, period, very much in soccer matches, at least in soccer matches that most people watch, I guess.
Right.
I'm sure there are some leagues that happens, but
which in a way, I guess maybe I want to check one of those games out too.
Yeah. But like the actions of some of the fans, where it's like the safety of F.
That's not cool.
I'm like, whoa. I mean, I don't think it has any place in MLS.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's interesting to see these kind of things because that, I mean, hey, it brings some color to it. I mean,
yeah, no one got seriously injured or anything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess, but I think it's just the matter of class, frankly. Yeah. Like, you just don't see that kind of stuff going on the field. And so, anyway, when it comes down to it, Sporting Kansas City gets to win 1-0. Houston gets 3 red cards, and their coach sent off at halftime. So,
yeah, the Houston would not have gone anywhere in this past World Cup on those fair play rules.
So. No, excuse me for the cough. Okay, so let's see. Next match we had. This is some pretty disappointing stuff. Being a guy that's living in Chicago, Chicago Fire losing to Real Salt Lake 2-1, and the Fire they continue to slide, and it continues to look worse and worse for them. And I mean, look, Schweinsteiger's goal was pretty sick, for sure.
But, yeah.
But he's not going to be the guy that's going to take your whole team to the next level. It's not going to happen.
He can't carry Chicago, no doubt. I'm sorry. I apologize going back to the Houston game, but just real quick, they had 9 players booked. Yeah, that's absurd. Anyways, sorry, getting back to Chicago and Real Salt Lake. I thought it was great. I don't know what you think. This doesn't really have to do much with soccer on the field, but Real Salt Lake was wearing their all-white kits and their white out in the stadium. I thought it was a good look. I mean, Real Salt Lake's kind of trying to jock our style, that being our style, being the Galaxy, wearing all white at home. But I thought that was a good look. So Real Salt Lake, maybe you should do something like that more often. I thought it made the atmosphere, the presence of the stadium really stand out.
I totally agree with you. I think it was definitely exciting to see that going on in Salt Lake, and you're absolutely right. The whiteout looks pretty badass as far as a fan's perspective goes. You like seeing that kind of unity from a team that isn't necessarily one of the teams that's being talked about as top tier, but to still have these fan bases that are loyal and excited and showing up and this is the kind of stuff they end up getting, the 2-1 victory here. And I got to say, Krylock is such a cool name.
Yes, yes. I agree.
Krylock sounds like some sort of cyborg or something like that. I don't know. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's totally sounds like something out of I don't know, Transformers.
Some sci-fi action, yeah.
Yeah, like it's really good. But yeah, he got the brace and
Hey, almost had a hat trick on him.
yeah.
Should have had a hat trick on him, but hey, that's what it is. A brace was enough to get the 3 points. So, anything else you want to kind of touch on in this match?
Just not good enough from Chicago. Like
Yeah.
it's going to be obviously another disappointing season.
I saw something. I saw a little rumor going on online about one of Mexico's starting defenders. I can't remember his name right now. Anyways, I saw something where the Fire are looking to close a deal with him, and try to get
Yeah.
some more defense going. And I cannot remember dude's name. I'll have to look into that. Anyways, so I guess hopefully they're trying to do something and shore up their defense a little bit. But for the Fire, it just seems like spirits are low, man. It's not looking good. So
Yeah, and just to really, I mean, just to cut from MLS action real quick, a little segue here. I mean, Chicago Fire just got dumped from the U.S. Open Cup in the semifinal against Philadelphia. Philadelphia is going to go to the final, and they will end up playing Houston Dynamo, who beat LAFC on penalties tonight. So,
yeah, Chicago was. We had mentioned this last week. Chicago seemed like you would think they would be throwing everything into the U.S. Open Cup, having the opportunity to go to a final and possibly bring home a trophy, and they just get smashed 3-0 by the Union. So
yeah.
Rough stuff.
Rough.
So okay, so next match we got 2 matches left to go over. The next match we have is the Portland Timbers taking on the Philadelphia Union in the MLS regular season game. Portland absolutely dominating with 3-0 victory. Eric D, why don't you take us through a little bit of this?
There's not much to say here. I mean, once Portland was able to get a hold of the match, I mean, I guess it was nervy at first, but Portland basically played a reserve-laden Philadelphia team. Like, it was their B squad because they were focusing on the U.S. Open Cup.
Right.
So, I mean, if you think you're going to go to Providence Park and beat Portland, one of the hotter teams is your B team, you're sorely mistaken.
Yep.
And Portland is, I believe, at 15 games unbeaten now. I think it matches a club record for them. I don't know what the record is for MLS, but Portland is on fire.
They're turning it up. Portland is going to be a very dangerous team going into the playoffs, as they have been recently. They're one of those teams that definitely, to me, feels like they're also on that cusp of just being an absolute dynasty. They could be, but it doesn't seem like the dynasty aspect is happening, although they just seem so dangerous. They're a scary team to play.
No doubt, especially at Providence Park there in Portland, because no pity in the Rose City.
Yep. So, just, again, dominating victory, 3-0, Portland with the win. Okay, let's see. Let's move on to our Sunday game. Our Sunday game was pretty exciting, in my opinion. I had an excellent time watching this game, and this was the New York Red Bulls taking on LAFC, and these are 2 heavyweights, man.
What do you have to say about it, Stevie Mac? I mean, let me ask you. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that as far as LAFC goes, it's just like not good enough for them either. It just like they feel like they're on this little slide.
Yeah, they
And
feel like they're backsliding a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're just like under that bar that you expect them, that they kind of set for themselves by playing as well as like when LAFC's playing well, they are a very dangerous and very exciting team to watch.
Yeah.
Um, but it doesn't seem like they can close. Hey, look, the El Trafico 1 and 2, it's a little absurd. Okay, that's absurd. But something like this, where LAFC has an opportunity to at least get a point at Red Bull Arena, you would be thinking that hopefully they would be able to pull that off. But the first goal from Royer was so soft, and it was such just total howler.
By Miller. Yeah.
Yeah, he just he it was a soft shot. He let the ball kind of just dribble out, and Royer's just standing right there. It was actually kind of funny because he ends up scoring the goal on his side. He ends up falling over, but then like kind of kicking it in from the ground. But,
yeah.
I mean, you got to hold on to that, Miller. Tyler Miller's got to hold on to that. So really, this was the goal that shouldn't have happened. That should have allowed LAFC to walk away with a point. But hey, it just doesn't seem like they can quite finish the same way. And so this is actually why. If you look at a couple of these teams like NYCFC, as we were talking about earlier, if they play that really offensive, exciting style, which is cool, but have no defense and can't cover the counter, like they're not going deep in the playoffs. And that's kind of how I feel about LAFC too. They have a lot of excitement moving forward, and now with Christian Ramirez too, it's going to be even more of kind of that spectacle. And if they have a defense that can't handle the counterattack, and somehow fold to the Galaxy the way they've been doing, and folding to these other teams that are definitely top tier, like the Red Bulls. And by the way, man, Bradley Wright Phillips, unselfish play. And that is what I'm talking about when it comes to Darwin Quintero.
Yes.
The style of play that you want to see as far as a teammate goes. It's a beautiful display of a goal scorer that could absolutely take that goal and have that for himself. And even if he missed it, no one would have blamed him. It would have been whatever it is. If he would have made it, it would have been kind of just like, yep, of course, that's what BWP does. But instead, he just lays it off to Royer again. Royer gets the brace, and that's just kind of play you want to see. But getting back into the last thing I was just saying, and kind of wrapping that part up for me at least, LAFC, if the defense kind of comes together, they're going to be solid. They're going to be a very dangerous club. But both LA teams right now, the Galaxy and LAFC, seem like they have a lot of offensive firepower, but their defensive line seems to just get torn up. Because
the problem is nobody, as the old saying goes, offense sells tickets, defense wins championships.
Yep.
Like, you go to these games and you want to watch soccer matches to see offensive talent. You want to see goals. Nobody's really going to see defense and see goalie saves. But it's an important aspect of the game and of any team. But That's what happens is that, it's just these teams are top-heavy with their talent going forward, and they kind of just try to make do in the back.
It's just not going to work out, though, when it comes to winning those championships, like you're saying, though. It just can't, There might be a team that is so crazy that maybe but it just seems like, take for instance Atlanta. They gave up 2 goals, and that's unfortunate at home, but Atlanta doesn't seem like a team that's going to falter like that very often. They seem very dangerous right now, both in the front, and their defense has just, like, at least for me, kind of a little bit of a reputation of these guys are tough. Like, it's hard to break through, especially at home for Atlanta. That's actually why the tie from Toronto was so impressive by Toronto. And as you were saying, don't sleep on Toronto just yet. A run they could make late, maybe they somehow squeak in. Who knows? They've been really on a kind of a down slope from the CONCACAF Champions League final, and it just seemed like that really hurt their confidence. But this last game, that's the kind of stuff that these runs are built on. I mean, you go into Atlanta and you're able to break through. It's gonna look really good for you. So, anything that you want to add in onto this LAFC and NYCFC game? I'm sorry, New York Red Bulls.
No, I just wanted, kudos to the New York Red Bulls for retiring Riley White Phillips, number 99.
Yep.
We'll never wear it again. So, it's not something you see in soccer very often, like the retired jersey numbers.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a very cool thing, and it goes to show how much they respect BWP up in New York for the Red Bulls. And honestly, man, whenever the Galaxy face off with the Red Bulls, I mean, the only thing you have to think is, man, I hope BWP is on an off day, because if he's not, the dude can absolutely take over games and win games for the Red Bulls. So.
No doubt. But granted, I was going to say, granted, they retired the 99 number, so it's like, I don't know how many guys are coming through wanting to wear 99, but
yeah,
from now on, no one ever is going to be. So,
right.
Yeah, that was cool.
But pretty cool stuff. Okay, so, that kind of wraps up everything that's been happening in the MLS leading up to this next weekend. And by the way, we want to say we are going to be getting to a point where we're going to be putting these out on Mondays consistently, but we've been dealing with these technical issues, and making sure that we have some quality recordings when we put them out is really important. So we apologize that we're a couple days late on this episode, but we're going to get it together. So the last thing that we kind of wanted to do before we wrap this up is we just wanted to go through a couple of the matches for the Premier League this weekend. Man, I'm so pumped. So match day 1 is going to be happening this weekend. The first game is on Friday. Manchester United taking on Leicester City is going to be how the Premier League opens off. I mean, do you want to, I guess basically what I wanted to say was, before we kind of go through this, is we're just going to touch on some of the highlighted games. We understand that there's a full slate of games. We feel like we just want to touch on some of those highlights just to handle our time a little bit better. So, Eric D., as far as Manchester United, Leicester City, is there anything that you're particularly looking at this game?
Well, I think if you're Jose Mourinho, you got to get off to a strong start here. I think you need to get all 3 points. You're at home, I believe, at Old Trafford, and you need to start the season strong, because it's going to be a challenge. Because Man City's there, Liverpool's there. I mean, who knows who else is going to be contending for the title? So I mean, Man U needs to have a strong start. They can't come out slow.
Yep. Totally agree. I got to say, I think they will. I think Man U is looking pretty strong this year, actually. And I'm actually quite excited to see them play. They have a lot of amazing talent on their squad, and seeing how all this talent kind of works together and fits in is going to be one of the things that everyone's be keeping an eye on, because of Mourinho and the whole situation that he's got going on over in Manchester. So, okay, so moving on. Next highlight of this first weekend: Tottenham, Newcastle. Basically from Tottenham, what are you looking for? Or is there anything from Newcastle? But mainly, what's going down with Tottenham?
Well, just like with Man U, Tottenham's got to now. Tottenham's going away. They'll be up there at. Are they still calling it St. James's Park? Yeah.
Hmm.
They're in the northeast area of England. They need to come out of the gate flying. They need a strong start. They need to try to get 3 points away if they can, if they're trying to contend for the title. I mean, you got to get these points. Like, you got to pick them up, man.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It is like got to hit the ground running.
Yes.
For Newcastle, it's tough for Newcastle because they're always kind of like just.
They're on the fringe, man. Always on the
Well,
fringe.
they're just kind of like they're just kind of there. I know Rafa Benitez has been frustrated by their transfer policy.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough because, I mean, Newcastle. There was a time when Newcastle was really, I mean, one of the glory clubs, I would say, and they've fallen on obviously hard times. They've been relegated, recently, and you're hoping that they can, get mid-table or even challenge those top 10 spots.
Absolutely. Well, here's a question with Tottenham. Do you think Harry Kane has the same kind of season he did last year? Do you think he keeps this kind of form? What do you think?
It's tough to say. It's tough to replicate that kind of form season after season. But yeah, he seems to be a proven goal scorer. I mean, he has a nose for goals, so I would bet that he will be able to continue this impressive run.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, just a few more we're going to get into. What do you think that you're going to see from Chelsea? Chelsea taking on Huddersfield Town. We have quite a few changes for Chelsea as far as, new coaching. We have Jorginho coming in, and we'll see if he gets a start and how he ends up playing. I saw him play in the ICC the other day, and his touch was real heavy. But maybe it was just kind of his first little touch on the ball in a little while, and he's gonna get into it. He's a pretty solid player. So, but anything that you're expecting from Chelsea?
Just like I'm sounding like a broken record here, but Chelsea, just like Tottenham, just like Man U, got to come out of the blocks, firing. Got to shoot for 3 points here. You're away, but you're going against a side that you should be able to get 3 points. I mean, the new manager in town, and it looks like Chelsea, obviously, Courtois is out. And speaking of which, something we forgot, and you must forgive us. Chelsea just signed a keeper for a record fee.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. Sorry, we kind of glossed over this guy. I don't even know much about him. He's coming from Atletico Bilbao, I believe.
Yeah, we'll have to do our research, and then we'll get on that after this weekend.
Exactly. So, and Chelsea needs to get 3 points.
All right, cool. Liverpool takes on West Ham. I think that Liverpool is going to be coming out, and it's going to be pretty exciting to see them play. Even if you're not a Liverpool fan per se, you've got to be paying attention. If you're watching the Premier League, you've got to be thinking that Liverpool is going to be really exciting to see how they develop. They have so much firepower right now. I think that they're going to really come out strong. And so anything in particular from Liverpool that you're going to be seeing?
It's going to be interesting to see how all these new signings fit in.
Yeah.
What's the squad going to look like? They're going to be at home at Anfield. I expect them to take maximum points.
I would agree. But kind of the big game of the weekend, I would say, Sunday. Woo! Arsenal.
Yeah.
Man City. What do you think?
Well, Arsenal's going to be at the Emirates. They'll be home, and they're going to obviously have their new manager. and they have a host of new signings that came through. Not, a lot of them, I guess, under the radar, but the start of a new era in North London there. And so, yeah, they gotta. Expecting for them to get 3 points against Man City, the defending champions, the best team in the Premier League, let's say, it's going to be a tough ask. But if they can, it will be a great start season for Arsenal.
Right.
But it's going to be tough. There's no doubt about it, because Man City's, obviously a great side.
Yeah, I mean, Man City's depth is so gnarly. I mean, it's just nuts how much talent that they have on that team, and obviously it goes to show from last year's performance from them just how dominant they can be. So I think it's going to be one of I think it is the highlight, the big game of the weekend, and so everyone's going to be watching how that goes down just for the sake of having fun with it. What do you think the final scoreline is going to be from Arsenal Man City?
I'm going to go with 2-1 to Man City.
Yeah.
Sorry, all my Gooners.
Yeah. Man, you took my scoreline.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just going to tie it up with you, man. I think it's going to be 2-1 as well. So we'll just call it good right there. And hopefully we're right, but hey, this is the world of football, the world of soccer, and anything can happen. And let's not write off Arsenal too soon. I mean, they've got a lot of talent on their team too. So it's going to be an exciting game.
No doubt.
All right. So, Eric D, is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap it up here tonight?
No, that's about it. I'm excited for obviously the new Premier League season to start. It doesn't seem to be as many transfers as I thought. It seems like a lot of clubs kind of stayed pat, didn't do too much, which is not always a bad thing. Sometimes you want to keep that continuity going on with the squad. So that'll be interesting to see how this all breaks down.
Yeah.
But yeah, like always, guys, enjoy the games and don't hate.
Do not hate.